everybody, and welcome back to Sports Central. I'm Mark Jackson. Neal Duncan, if you're just joining us. Neal, we have a special thank you should go out for this segment.
This segment is sponsored by Harry's Old Place, and that's in Winter Haven. A great place to eat. If you've not checked it out, you need to get out there.
I was talking to Steve Bonkowski the other day. He's one of our development specialists here in Polk County, and he says he's there all the time. He's a regular.
Oh, yeah?
And I said, what's your favorite? Harry in the Bag.
There you go.
Oh, it's awesome.
Great place.
Stuff, everybody.
Great place.
Got to check it out. We promised you, and it just keeps getting better. You remember the 1968 Olympics? Guy that took the silver medal in the 1500? His name is Jim Ryun. Jim Ryun was also the first guy to break the 4-minute mile. And if you're not familiar with that name, shame on you, because you should be. He is arguably the man that really kicked off, in my eyes, the popularity of running and made it cool, particularly the long distance runs. And he may correct me, Paul White, who's sitting next to him, may correct me, but that's my recollection. And yes, I did remember when that all happened, and that was Mexico City. That was a cool Olympics. A little controversy associated with that, and maybe Jim will enlighten us on that. But gentlemen, boy, it's great to have you here, and you have a huge event this weekend. I'm shocked. 1,000 runners.
Actually, 1,300.
Oh,
but who's counting?
I stand corrected, and that's something that's very familiar to me at home as well, by the way.
This is our 5th year. It was Paul's idea in the beginning, and it's grown from sort of an infant stage to where it is now. And they have a great park, Holloway Park, carved out of the, what do you call it, Florida, whatever.
Wild phosphate reclaimed land.
This year it's matured to where you have really better footing, and so it'll be real exciting. Yeah. It's cross country.
Well, let's move back, because
you weren't here, Neil.
I wasn't here in 1968. I've seen the video, though, of the sub-4 mile, and when we were watching it in the office, we said, wait, is there a rabbit out there, or is that him start to finish? And it was you start to finish.
Yeah, it was.
You didn't have somebody pacing you ahead. And then the 4th and final lap, how did you have anything left in the tank?
Well, you by the grace of God, prepare for that. You do all the training. In fact, as my coach would say, the workout doesn't start till you get tired, and then you learn to sprint. And so that was part of the philosophy behind it. Let me go back just a step further, because when you see something like that, someone has to have the vision for it. And my high school coach, after my 4th high school mile, I mean, so it wasn't like he had a track record to really lean on. I'd run 4:21, riding the school bus from Kansas City back to Wichita. And he had took the opportunity of bringing each one of the athletes up to the front of the bus and talking with them one-on-one, my turn. I'd run 4:21. He said, how fast you think you can run? And of course, I'm so new, I thought maybe 2 seconds faster. Well, then he proceeded to say he thought I could be the high school record holder, which is 4:10. And of course, I'm thinking, how's that possible? Because like many, you think of those natural barriers. I finished that day, my head hurt, my legs hurt, my lungs hurt. How are you going to run faster? And while he had my attention, he said, then I think you can also be the first high school boy to run under 4 minutes. And we'd hope it would happen by the time I was a senior. It was a little faster time than that. It happened when I was a junior. And so I'm under 4 minutes as a junior. God gave me this wonderful coach, great talent. I'm at my first Olympics in 1964, and I discovered that every 4 years, that's how new I was to running. So, it all began, and then you saw that culmination of leading start to finish. It took a long time to get there, but I had wonderful teammates, a great coach. God gave me some great talent, and it happened. And it's just one of those things I look back on now and have to pinch myself and say, gee, that was me 50 years ago.
Well, it was also apparent to us in watching the video that everyone knew this was going to happen.
Well, they didn't know for sure, but they
thought it was going to happen.
It was the last opportunity against high school only competition. And in fact, my future father-in-law, who happened to be, is that right, father-in-law, whatever. Anyway, he was throwing the shot put. And so this field was set up so that those particular field events overlooked the track. And he said when they started the race, everybody dropped everything because they wanted to see it. Yeah. So they came over to the fence and watched. And when it was over, they went back and did their events. And so my question was, if you're throwing the shot put or the javelin, suppose your opponent went out and moved the marker. He said, no, those were in the days when everybody was honest. And so he said it was quite an event. So yeah, it was a very special moment. most of all because we hoped it would happen, and it did on that day, but nobody knew for sure it was going to happen.
Wow.
Jim, you had you talked a little bit about honesty and those types of things, and I was at a men's prayer breakfast this morning and mentioned the fact that you were going to be on the show today. And they all go, "The Jim Ryun?" and then they started rattling off stuff, and the point being is that your reputation has been flawless throughout your career, where you have other world-class athletes and highly visible athletes have not done so well. What's your secret?
Well, very simply, my parents raised me in the church, but it wasn't until 1972 when I became a Christian. At that point, I found out becoming a Christian was more than just going to church on Sunday and Christmas. Rather, it was an opportunity to develop a relationship where you prayed and you expected things to happen. In fact, my prayer before any of this took place, because I was cut from the church baseball team to show how poor an athlete I started out, the junior high basketball team, couldn't make the junior high track and field team. And so my prayer at night was, "Dear God, if you have a plan for my life, I'd appreciate if you show up sooner than later because it's not really going well." And so, here this phenomenal thing happens. And that's part of the vision that Paul has with the race here, is that, it's an opportunity that influence, shape, and mold these young runners coming in. And at different times I get an opportunity to visit with them. And the thing I want to point out to them is that God has a plan for their life, and that you're going to be much happier walking in that plan. And so that's part of what we do, is we get to share that along the way.
Well, I was actually going to ask that. It's a nice lead in here, because using your collective, using your celebrity, if you will, for an event like this, being able to get that message out there, is that the reason you do these type of events?
That's part of it, Neil. And I will say this, and for those that are listening, anybody that has a platform, regardless of what it is, you two have platforms, Paul has one, we carry with it, I feel, a responsibility to the next generation. You can say, well, I don't want any of that, I'm just playing sports for professional purposes. I'm sorry, you've got a platform. So take that opportunity and mold those young minds, and I think point them towards God, and that He has a plan for their life. So that's part of Paul's vision.
Absolutely. We had, I was just talking to you about the middle school program, and I am just thrilled, because you know how my daughter Mallory started as a second grader running.
I got to interrupt you for a second, because this is so funny. Every time I see Paul, I can't help it. We had Mallory on our radio show many, many years ago. She had these little braces and her little blonde hair and all this, and she just smoked everybody at the AAU Nationals up in, I think it was in Michigan.
Yeah, Ypsilanti.
Yeah, Ypsilanti, Michigan, which is like way up there. And I'm going, this kid's going somewhere. And so it's been fun to follow her, after that interview, and she's done well. But anyway, I had to tell that story because it's something that sticks in my brain.
Let me just make a comment about Mallory real fast. And it's one of those, when there's a really good player for the college football team that you're our rival or whatever, you think that person has been there for 8 years.
Right.
That's how it is with Mallory, because it seems like she just continues to dominate. We're always talking about her at the All Sports Awards and things like that.
Sure.
So real quick, what's Mallory up to before we go on?
She's actually playing soccer this year, but I think that she misses her running. She went to a cross country meet that the Florida Southern had the other day, and she's like, "Oh, I really miss running." I said, "Well, I thought you were tired of running through high school, and so that's why you want to play soccer in college."
Right.
But we'll see what the future holds for her. But she did have a wonderful, successful career in high school. She went to state every year that she competed in track, and ended up medaling 10 times in the state championships, which is just 6 years. She could have gone 7, but she had an injury her senior year and everything. But what we put in her when she was younger is that use your running as an opportunity to influence others for Christ. And she took that to heart with her teammates, and then she actually was the ones that she invited you to come here, because she would go to their camps, and she said, we have a big invitational. Why don't we make it the Jim Ryun Invitational? Why don't you and Ann come? I think it'd be fun. And so that kind of helped that happen.
Paul mentioned our camp. You can go to our website, RyanRunning.com. We've been doing them for almost 40 years. In fact, 40 years of running in all different parts of the country. Mallory's been there, I think, 6 years, 5 years.
Mark Mutz has been there.
Mark Mutz, but again, RyanRunning.com. And our goal is to help mold and shape these young people. We've had about 5,000 go through the years, and it's really a wonderful experience.
Jim, where is your camp?
Well, we have at this point 3 of them. One in San Diego, California.
Ooh, love
It's
San
a great
Diego.
spot. One in Greeley, Colorado, Northern Colorado
Exactly
University.
where that is.
And then in Harrisonburg, Virginia, at Eastern Mennonite University. But again, you go to the website, find out all the information. Love to have you come up to it.
Well, we're thrilled to have you here for this event. Let's talk a little bit about the event, and we've hit on it just a little bit. Well, what is this event, and
Okay.
what market are we reaching here?
We're reaching everybody. Actually, the running community. Ed Halloway has just done a wonderful job with the property. He put 330 acres into a foundation it's a nonprofit foundation for the running community. I don't know of another cross-country course that's privately held anywhere in the country. So we have a great gift in our backyard. We actually have the state chair from Florida High School Athletic Association coming up today and tomorrow to view it. He was here last year trying to talk me into doing the state championships this year, and I said, we're not ready. But this year, I think next year we're going to be ready, 2014. So I'm really excited. I'm really excited about Mark Zimmerman starting the middle school program, because we saw how the success Mallory had starting young, and now we've got all these middle schools have thrown together 30, 40, 60 kids that want to come out and run. And to me, that's just golden, because you get these kids involved in sports, now they've got some focus. They don't get into trouble. And I couldn't believe it 20 years ago when they took middle school sports out, because I figured the money you think you're saving there, now you're going to spend to rehabilitate these kids because they don't have any goals. You got to have goals in life in order to keep your focus and stay out of trouble. And so this middle school program just thrills me. But we have middle school and college tonight, and then high school races tomorrow. We've got 66 teams, over 1,300 runners coming.
Mark, if I may mention this too,
Sure.
this is at the Jim Ryun Invitational, but you got to put the U in the Ryan if you want to find it under Ryan Running.
Okay,
There you go.
You got it, folks. You've got to remember that RYUN. Okay,
Of course, you can always go to centralfloridasports.com, and we will link it.
we'll
and
link
can get
you
it.
to it.
Yeah.
It's JimRyanRunning.com.
Yep.
Okay, that's some great stuff. And 3 camps. Wow, that's phenomenal. Greeley, Harrisburg, and San Diego. I got that right, didn't I?
Yeah, you do.
did.
That's
Okay.
great.
Memories.
Thank you.
Yeah, the old age isn't so bad after all.
Mark, I would like to say one thing too, talking about the middle school programs. My hat is off to all of the coaches that help with these things, because most of them are doing this as volunteers, and they call me up and, this is our first event, and how are we going to do this and all that, and I'm just excited to walk them through that. And these people are heroes in my eyes, because they're taking their time and their efforts to help mentor these kids and give their kids an opportunity to do something that's a life sport.
Well, it's some great stuff, and for those of you that don't know where the race is, it's about a mile north of Sandland Ranch, and off of 98.
Yeah, the Southside Sam's Club.
Yeah.
Over in
And
that
they can go
area.
to HallowayPark.org, and they can get directions off of that. There's a website.
Get a chance to meet Paul. You get a chance to obviously meet Jim, and that would be the thrill of a lifetime if you've ever put your feet in a pair of sneakers or running shoes.
Absolutely.
Because the
Well,
best
hey,
of the best.
We've got to go to break, but hang out because I got a few more questions I want to ask you. We'll do it off there. But
That's some great stuff. Well, we don't.